Whack-a-mole popping out of our hole. Sorry, pal, you can't catch me. Oh, no, a mystery!
It's Whack-a-Mole, the two-player game where you gotta whack the most moles.
That's smart!
If you choose red, now's the time to whack him on the head. But if you see the yellow light, he's gonna whack him at the speed of light.
Come on, Slowpoke.
Make sure you only whack your colors. Whack the most moles in 30 seconds. And
I win! So you can, now you won the Whack-a-Mole game.
two-player Whack-a-Mole. Batteries not included.
Hey, the Heels about to play some whack-a-mole.
You don't want none! You don't want none!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel. And I don't know about you, baby, but I am excited to move on from that C- debacle that we called UNC App State 2 days ago. And I'm ready to move forward to the first ever meeting between the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Let's go, Minnesota. 3:30 kick, September 16th, ESPN. A pair of unbeatens will go at it in the second home game at Kenan Stadium, baby. And as mediocre as the Tar Heels played against the Mountaineers, I heard from a lot of people that Kenan was rocking, which is music to my ears. And I know that it's music to your ears. So, Minnesota Golden Gophers are coming off of a Week 1 comeback win off of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They beat them 13-10. And then they also had a Week 2 victory over the Eastern Michigan Eagles, 25-6. That game was 10-6 at the half. But the Gophers only gave up 152 yards of total offense. I don't care who you play. I don't care if you're playing a high school team. That is impressive. 152 yards of total offense and 9 first downs against the Eagles. So, what has not been very impressive is Athan Kaliakmanis. Athan Kaliakmanis. I don't know. From now on, we'll call him the Greek Rifle because that's what the Minnesota Golden Gophers apparently call this guy, is the Greek Rifle. But it's more like the Greek Buckshot because my man Kaliakmanis is 34 for 59 with a 58% completion percentage for only 313 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions in 2 football games. I'm just going to let that sit there for just a moment and let you ponder that in your heads, Tar Heel Nation. 313 yards in 2 games, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. All right, let's move on. Now, Darius Jackson, Minnesota's best running back, last week rushed for 193 yards on 33 carries and a tutty. I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. I'm going to let you mull over that for a minute. So the Greek Rifle throws for 300 yards in 2 football games, and the running back almost has that much in 1 football game. I wonder what the Gophers are going to try to do. Any ideas? They're going to try to run the football. And what have I been saying for the last 2 weeks? We have got to stop the run. And this is going to be a great test to see not only is the defense going to hold up in the box, but I want to see if something so simple of a game plan make the Greek Rifle beat you. If Gene Chizik can ponder that in his dome, and we can put together something that actually makes the Greek Rifle have to put that football in the air and beat us. I'm just saying. Now, even though the quarterback play is a little suspect, they do have a really good receiver, man. So even though the Greek Rifle is kind of suspect, is kind of shooting everywhere, right? This kid can play, bro. Runs really good routes and is truly a threat. Number 9, Daniel Jackson. The kid is a baller, bro. Now, he only went for 2 receptions on 42 yards receiving against EMU, but he wrecked the Huskers at the end of the game especially, and was a huge reason for their comeback victory. They could not guard that kid. 11 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown against the Black Shirts. I mean, they literally could not cover him. If you get a chance, go back and watch Nebraska try to cover Jackson. He gives them the business. So the question is can the Greek Rifle get him the football with Huzzy draped all over him? And yes, that's going to be my play. You got one good receiver, suspect quarterback, you put your best cover guy on him, and you blanket him and make sure that he doesn't beat you in the air. This is going to be the story of the football game. Will Gene Chizik, knowing what Minnesota wants to do, will he press cover on the outside, stack the box, and make the Greek Rifle beat you with his arm? I really think this is a simple game plan. You got to be salivating as a defensive coordinator thinking about how to draw up a scheme for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I'm just saying. Now, I've mentioned before the importance of doing at least one good thing on each side of the football. And I will continue to beat this horse and kick this horse on the ground. I don't care. Stop the run. Period. That's what we did against South Carolina, and the results were great. That's what we didn't do against App State, and we escaped with a victory. I'm going to scream it from the mountaintops, the importance from that side of the ball. Stop the dadgum run. Now, like I said, South Carolina only rushes for -2 yards. Then we completely turn back around to 2022, it seems like, and App State runs for 219 yards rushing. Gotta stop the run, guys. We have got to stop the run. Somebody call Gene Chizik and say, hey, my boy Russ he's got the game plan. Tell him, watch the video, stop the dadgum run. And you already know that them big Midwestern hog mollies from Minnesota, eh? I think I went real country and then I tried to come back to the Minnesota thing. But anyway, you get the point. I got some big boys out there in the Big Ten, and they are going to try to lean on that UNC defensive front. So Cross is going to have to do a good job of substituting these guys and keeping them fresh for the fourth quarter. Now, UNC on the offensive side of the ball is going to be very interesting. Obviously, it is not sustainable for O'Marion Hampton to give us 250 and 3 touchdowns a football game. My man's already bought out. He's already got 5 touchdowns this year through 2 football games. Obviously, British Brooks was hurt. Hopefully, he'll be back for the next game. And then Caleb Hood, obviously, is another good serviceable back. But he has been injury-prone in the past. You cannot expect these guys to rush for 300 yards a night. But who is going to be the guy that can be a deep threat over the top? Is it going to be J.J. Jones? My man J.J., he had a really good football game. We pound the football. We hand it off to O'Marion. They start creeping up. J.J. Jones gets to run deep in across the field. What was that, 57, 58 yards for a huge pickup down to the inside the 5. We are going to have to do that, man. Got to establish the run to open up the top, and that's going to help these receivers be even better. And J.J. Jones came in a really big spot. Kobe Paysor has been a really good serviceable receiver both football games. Who else is going to step up? Is Nate McCullum? Is he going to be healthy enough to finally get into that slot position? Maybe even split out wide, get a couple of more carries, some jet sweeps. However we can get the football in this kid's hand, because that's what we brought him over from Georgia Tech to do. What about George Pettaway? When are we going to get this kid the ball in open space? You know, if we don't have somebody that's going to be able to take the top off the defense, then we do have to kind of get creative every once in a while and get some of these playmakers the ball. I mean, you got somebody like George Pettaway who's great in space, man. Let's get him the ball in space. Let's get the kid the ball in space. I want to see the Heels establish the run, but we also need to work on that passing game. My boy Drake is 45 for 62, guys. 477 yards passing with only 2 touchdowns and 2 picks through two games. Those numbers are obviously not going to get him to New York. Now, is that our number one goal? No. Number one goal is to win football games. And if we have to ride O'Marion Hampton and British Brooks all the way to the finish line, then hey, I'm sure both of them don't mind it. We don't mind it. We just want to win football games. I bet you Drake May doesn't even mind it. But what about the receiver room? What about Drake? What about Chip? What is it going to be? What do you guys want to see us work on in this football game? Comment down in the comment section your theory on why this UNC passing game has looked so mediocre. Mediocre at best. Mediocre at best. Now let's get into the keys. My keys to this football game. And some of this may sound repetitive, but here we go. Key 1. Press coverage on the outside with Huzzy shadowing number 9. Remember I was talking about their best receiver? Stick your best cover guy on him. And stop allowing these wide receivers to free release, get to the sticks, turn around, get grass, easy first downs. It killed Carolina against App State. And I feel like we pressed a little bit more against South Carolina, and we had some good success in the beginning of the football game. And then we start playing that keep everything in front of you defense, and they started to work the ball slowly and methodically down the field. Tired of seeing it, man. All you have to do is get a hand on these guys and just keep them from getting free into their route for half a second, 1 second. Quarterback drops back, man, and they try to look for anything down the field. You are allowing the defensive line that much more time to get to the quarterback. You know, I started kind of thinking about these things, and I looked at a little bit of the game film. I watched the game a little bit back today, and I noticed that the defensive line did not play as clean and good as they did against South Carolina. This is an understood you, but at the same time, you know, Aguilar's ability to get 8 yards, 9 yards, 10 yards on these curl routes because of the soft coverage on the corners, you know, the defensive line didn't have time to get to the quarterback, man. They just didn't have time. So I want to see key number 1, press on the outside. Don't let these guys get free into their route. Keep your safeties over the top and trust them. And let's see if we can get to the Greek rifle. That is key number 1. Key number 2, let's take the Greek rifle to the firing range. And what I mean by that is, hey, Mr. Kaliakmanis, I think I said it right that time. That's a badass nickname, son. But let's see if you can actually shoot. Ethan Kaliakmanis has quite frankly been less than average in his first 2 games. I'm truly doing my best to take away the Gophers' ability to pound the football. And I'm making Mr. Ethan beat me. Can he consistently lead this football team down the field with his arm? You're going to have to show me. And until you do, I got 7, 8 in the box, period. You're not going to run the football. And key number 3, I want to work on the pass game. We have got to find someone that can be a consistent threat down the field. I still believe that this is a game that UNC has the superior talent, so I want to see the Heels really work on the passing game. Now, hopefully, like I said, Nate McCullum is healthy. He can work himself back into that 22 form when he was at Tech and he had a really good season. J.J. Jones and Kobe Paysour, they need more looks. Got to get them the football because those are the guys that are actually producing. And we need to find the tight ends. They had 1 catch last week. Bryson Nesbitt had 1 reception for 9 yards. We got the best tight end room in the nation, guys. Unacceptable. We have got to find a way to get these tight ends involved. We have to. Perfect game to work on these things and get these things dialed up. Now that leads into my game prediction. So, this is the first ever meeting between the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And I think one of the interesting aspects of this football game is this is also Minnesota's first road game of the season. So those boys get to come to Chapel Hill, their first time in front of 51,000 screaming North Carolinians, and play some football. And you know what? I've heard from a couple of people that were at the game against App State, and they said that it was absolutely electric. And that's great. That's great. A true home field advantage. I think this is going to be a closer football game. Right now, the spread's at 6.5, opening up, and that's as of Sunday night. I think it's going to be a hard-fought football game. I think it's going to be probably a little bit more clean than the App State UNC game because I think UNC is going to fix some things. But Minnesota is really going to try to get physical, and they're going to try to run the football. And you know what? Here's the thing. UNC also is going to try to run the football because we've seen Chip Lindsey and that Carolina offense really put an emphasis on establishing the run. So I think this is going to be a game where Minnesota tries to use the clock. They try to slow the pace of the game down. And I think that it's probably a lower scoring game, and it's a little tighter because of that. So my final score for the UNC Minnesota game this Saturday, September 16th, 3:30, ESPN, North Carolina, 30, Minnesota, 24. North Carolina, 30, Minnesota, 24, and the Heels go to 3-0. North Carolina's too talented. You still have the Heisman Trophy candidate. Whether he's way down there or not, you still got the first or second best quarterback in the entire nation under center, or in this case in shotgun. And you also have Omarion Hampton, British Brooks, Caleb Hood, deep running back room, best tight end room in the nation. We get these wide receivers going, man, and we're going to be all right. Get this defense fired back up like that South Carolina game, and we're going to be all right. And I think the Heels do enough, they look clean enough, and they get the job done and move to 3-0. Should be an exciting game, Tar Heel Nation. I can't wait, to get that App State taste out of my mouth. That was definitely a game that, for all intents and purposes, could have went either way, and we should consider ourselves very fortunate that we're sitting at 2-0 right now. And moving into the Minnesota game, this is an excellent opportunity to work on some things, get them fixed before we start getting into ACC play the next week. We got a good Big Ten team coming in. They're undefeated, right? But for all intents and purposes, man, maybe on the mediocre side themselves. 25 points against EMU, only 13 points against Nebraska. Now, they've had some good defensive performances, but they have not had very good offensive performances. So this may be a good football game so that those North Carolina Tar Heels, those defenders, can get that confidence back moving into pivotal ACC play. I'm excited. My prediction, 30-24 Tar Heels. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. What's your prediction for this football game? Have you lost all hope? Or was that App State game just a bump in the road? Are we about to just pick it right back up from here? Or do you think that this is maybe one of those trap games where we're looking forward to Pitt and then Syracuse and Miami after that? I think the Heels will be ready. I think maybe that App State game, it maybe stirred that fire back up just a little bit. Caught them sleeping. They got through it with a W somehow. And now they're going to turn it back on. And I think they'll be ready for the Gophers come Saturday. I think they know the fan base is going to be there. I think that they know that they need to put together a good product for the fans and for themselves. So I expect them to come out and play with a lot more passion. It is going to be a close game because I think Minnesota's decent. But I expect the Tar Heels to win 30-24. Like I said, comment down in the comment section what you think about this football game, any strategies. What do you think your game plan would be if you got the headset and you got to put together something for the Heels to come out with a W. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe to this content. Obviously, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a platform where Tar Heel Nation, every Tar Heel around the nation, every Tar Heel around the globe can come here and we can hash it out. We can talk college football, college basketball, and where our beloved program is going. Love you guys. I appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget, Wednesday, we got Russ's Rant in the Tar Heel Mobile. And then Saturday, obviously, the Gophers will have the live watch party and live reaction, man. So hope you guys can hang out. Hope you guys have a good week. And go Heels. We'll catch you on the next one.